Hi, thanks for using My Court Coach. I'm Sarah, and I'll be your instructor as we talk about the income withholding for support, also known as Form FL-195. When would you use this form? Typically, if you get a support order and you're concerned about enforcement of the order, you can garnish the wages of the obligor of support, provided that you know who their employer is. You want to identify at the top whether this is a first-time order, in which case you would mark the top box, an amended order, in which case you would mark amended IWO, or a one-time order for a lump sum payment, you would mark that box, or for a termination of an existing income withholding order, you would mark that box. I will say that a lump sum payment is going to be highly unusual just because your employer is going to be limited by the amount that they can withhold from a paycheck. But if you are in that unique situation, certainly mark that box. You want to list the date the order was made or the date you're filling out the form here. It doesn't matter which one. Below that, you want to identify yourself, the person submitting this income withholding order for support. Most likely, if you are watching this video, you are a private individual or entity, so mark that box. Below here, you want to identify which city and state made the order. State is going to be California. City is whichever city or county you reside in. Again, list your name next to private individual or entity over here. Don't worry about including a remittance ID. It's not necessary. And then order number or order ID, case ID, I usually just list the family law case number there. Below that, you want to list the employer's name and then their address below that. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to list the obligors, the person who's been ordered to pay support, their last name, comma, first name, comma, middle name or middle initial. Below that, their social security number. Below that, their date of birth. And then below that, you want to list your last name, comma, first name, comma, middle name, middle initial, if any. Don't worry about filling in the FEIN number if you don't have it. That's just their tax payor ID. Children's names that are the recipients of this order, you want to list those, starting with last name, comma, first name, comma, middle name, middle initial, and then their respective birth dates go in this box next to that. Next, in order information, you want to identify the basis for the total amount of the order. You want to list that the order came from California. And then you want to break down the support order. So if there's different amounts, if you're receiving some, there's an order and a certain amount is to go to child support, a certain amount is to go to spousal support. You want to identify it as such here. You can see that there's categories for current child support, past due child support, medical support payments, spousal support, and then there's our catch-all other. If the court identifies any other type of support amount and lists a monthly amount, maybe daycare, for instance, some judges will order a certain amount to be paid for childcare expenses. You would identify what that amount is here and then total up all these amounts for the total per month. Amounts to withhold, you need to advise the employer how much to withhold from each paycheck, and this needs to be in line with when the obligor gets paid. So if they get paid twice a month, you get paid twice a month. Obviously, if there's a weekly or monthly pay period, it's pretty easy to figure out what amount that is. Biweekly and semi-monthly get a little trickier for some people. Biweekly is where they get paid every 2 weeks. Semi-monthly is where they get paid twice a month, let's say the 15th and the 30th, for instance. In order to determine what amount to withhold from each paycheck, you want to take the monthly amount, multiply it by 12, that gives us our annual amount, and then divide by the number of pay periods. So the biweekly amount is going to be divided by 26 pay periods. The semi-monthly amount is going to be divided by 24 pay periods. And then altogether, that should add up to the total amount a person would pay for support if it was annualized. Obviously, if there's a lump sum payment, we've discussed that before, that it's very unusual, but if there is a lump sum payment, then go ahead and list that amount here. Document tracking ID, again, you can just list the case number right there. The next 3 pages are going to have the same caption at the top. It asks to list the employer's name, their employee's name, the case identifier, order identifier. Again, that's just going to be your case, family law court case number, and the employee's social security number. Again, don't worry about the FEIN number, but you're going to have to fill this in at the top of each of these forms. Remittance information. I'm going to tell you exactly what to fill in here. And this is California based. If the employer's principal place of employment is California, which is what you'd write in, then California has to begin withholding no later than the 10 days from the first pay period. So you'd want to write 10 days here, and then after the date of write-in receipt here, they have to send the payment within 7 business days. It cannot be longer than that. I usually write 5, and I haven't had an employer yet that has rejected that. And then write 50% here. That's the most they can withhold. And then if the employer's obligor's place of employment is not California, so again, write California here, then this just directs the employer to obtain the rules that pertain to their specific state. So again, you're going to write California, then you're going to write 10, then receipt, then 5, 50% here, California here. When you do a garnishment of wages, you also need to open up a case with Department or the California State Disbursement Unit. They will collect the support payment from the employer, and then they will pay it to you. This is so that the state is aware of who is receiving what monies in the event that a party wants to seek any sort of state assistant benefits. So this is just telling the employer that the payment is going to be sent by them to the California State Disbursement Unit. This box right here, don't fill in. That's for the judge to fill in. And there is nothing else to fill in on this page. We're now on page 3. Again, fill in this caption information as I previously instructed. You do not need to fill in anything under liability. You do not need to fill in anything under anti-discrimination. You do not need to fill in anything under supplemental information unless there's something specific that you think the employer needs to know, but nothing is required to be filled in here. Now we're on page 4, the last page of this form. Again, fill in your identifying employer information at the top. This box, leave blank. This is for the employer to fill in if they get this form and maybe the employer or employee no longer works there. And then finally, we have contact information. And this is basically providing contact information to the employer or the employee as to who they can contact if they have questions about this income and withholding order that was prepared by you. So you are the issuer. This is going to have your contact information. So telling them if they have questions, contact, your name goes here, your telephone number goes here, fax number if you have it, your email address goes there, and your mailing address goes here. And same below, if the employee has questions, they are to contact you, and this is your telephone number, your fax number, your email address number. So that's it. This form is now complete. I hope you found this helpful. Good luck.